Brought to you by Gamezy. Win up to rupees 5 crores every day. Download the app now.
It is Super Sunday in IPL 2022. The first game is between Punjab Kings and Sunrisers Hyderabad. Punjab Kings are third on the table with 6 points. But Sunrisers Hyderabad also have 6 points. But they are 7th. Only net run rate is separating both the teams. So, let us get into the fantasy picks for IPL 2022 match between Punjab Kings and Sunrisers Hyderabad. I am going with the budget buys. If we have to look at the budget buys for this game, you are blessed with plenty of options. Punjab Kings have Arshdeep Singh, who has been a revelation. So he's my number one budget buy. If I have to look at all the other options, there's not much in the Punjab Kings apart from Jitesh Sharma. So he is one of your best buys if you want a batter to show up in the fantasy 11. If I have to look at Sunrisers Hyderabad on the other hand, Rahul Tripathi, you had heard the name. He has been in fantastic form in the IPL 2022 and he'll be your ultimate budget buy if you have to go for it. After the budget buys, I look at the overseas options for both Punjab Kings and Sunrisers Hyderabad. If I have to look at the overseas options starting with Sunrisers Hyderabad, I will look at Kane Williamson selects himself. On the other hand, the likes of perhaps Nicholas Pooran and Marco Jansen will be there for the Sunrisers Hyderabad if you want to pick them in your fantasy. For Punjab Kings, well, it's pretty watertight. You have Johnny Bairstow, you have Liam Livingston, you have Kagiso Rabada. But if I have to pick up 2 or 3 major overseas buys in your fantasy 11, I would say pick Kagiso Rabada, which is a given. Liam Livingston, as he's done well with the bat. And on top of that, maybe Johnny Bairstow. Odin Smith might leak a few runs. So those are my overseas picks in this match. If I have to look at the captaincy choices for Punjab Kings versus Sunrisers Hyderabad, if I have to pick a Punjab Kings captain, I would go for Shikhar Dhawan. He has stability at the top of the order and he will contribute each and every time he steps out. But if you don't want to pick a Punjab Kings player and you want to pick a Sunrisers Hyderabad guys, here's where there will be a bit of a temptation to pick either Kane Williamson or Rahul Tripathi. Tripathi, as I said, has been consistent, but Williamson has class. If I have to look at any other option, I would not look beyond these two. Now, who will be my fantasy playing 11 for the game between Sunrisers Hyderabad and Punjab Kings? Well, my playing 11 for Sunrisers versus Punjab Kings will be, I would open with Shikhar Dhawan, Mayank Agrawal, get Kane Williamson and Rahul Tripathi at 3 and 4. If I have to look at the number 5 option, I will go in with Jitesh Sharma and then pad it up with Nicholas Pooran. So that will be 5 and 6. Pooran will be my wicket keeping option as well. At number 7, I would look at maybe getting Shah Rukh Khan in. And then I will look at the bowlers, Umran Malik, Bhuvneshwar Kumar, Arshdeep Singh, and finally I will end it with Kagiso Rabada. So, those are my fantasy 11 picks for the game between Sunrisers Hyderabad and Punjab Kings. Now for the second game of the day, it is between Chennai Super Kings and Gujarat Titans. Chennai Super Kings are 9th in the table, but they finally got their IPL 2022 campaign off with a win against Royal Challengers Bangalore. Gujarat Titans, led by Hardik Pandya, are on top of the table. No one had ever expected that though. So it will be a very interesting clash between Gujarat Titans and Chennai Super Kings. Before we get into the intricacies of the match, I'm going to tell you my budget buys for the CSK versus GT match. If I have to look at the CSK versus GT game, there are plenty of options even here when you have to look at the budget buys. Shivam Dube, he has been a fantastic find for Chennai Super Kings with the bat and he is your go-to budget buy. He will perform well and many people are predicting this will be his breakthrough season. If I have to look at the Gujarat Titans, well, you have Abhinav Manohar Sadrangini, who has been a stalwart lower down the order. His partnership with Hardik Pandya was crucial. And if not Abhinav Manohar Sadrangini, I would go for AB Tewatia or Rahul Tewatia. Fantastic all-round option, especially in the middle, in the death overs. So, Tewatia and Abhinav Manohar Sadrangini will be your budget buys if you're picking from the Gujarat Titans. If it's from the Chennai Super Kings, Shivam Dube. And if you want a bit of novelty, there is also yes, Taladoni for that. After the budget buys, I look at the overseas options for Chennai Super Kings and Gujarat Titans. If I have to look at the overseas options, Dwayne Bravo, Moeen Ali pick themselves. On top of that, we may have Mahesh Theekshana. Theekshana took 4 wickets in the game against RCB and he will definitely start for the next match, which is against GT. Other than that, Chris Jordan might be playing, but he didn't get his full quota of overs in the game against RCB. Maybe you may persist with Chris Jordan, but I would get in Dwayne Pretorius. So you might want to pick Dwayne Pretorius as well. If not Chennai Super Kings totally, I would then look at Gujarat Titans. Shubman Gill obviously is in great form, but my overseas pick would be Rashid Khan without a shadow of doubt. Wade has been struggling, so I would, instead of Wade, maybe Rahmanullah Gurbaz might come into the picture. And then if I have to look at the bowling, well, Lockie Ferguson hands down wins it for me. So your overseas picks for GT versus CSK could be Moeen Ali, Dwayne Bravo, or Lockie Ferguson, and maybe Rashid Khan and Rahmanullah Gurbaz. After the budget buys and the overseas buys, I will now go for my captaincy choices. If you're picking a player from the Gujarat Titans as your captain, I would say pick Shubman Gill. Shubman Gill has been in tremendous form and he will give you the points that is needed. So, Gujarat Titans pick would be Shubman Gill. If you're picking a captain from the Chennai Super Kings team, if not from Gujarat, then I would go with Shivam Dube. Make Shivam Dube your captain. He'll at least give you plenty of options and points when it comes to his batting. Perhaps not so much for his bowling. After the captaincy choices, I will now go for the playing 11 for GT versus CSK. If I have to pick my fantasy 11 for the game between CSK versus GT, I would go for Shubman Gill as my opener, and then I would go for Robin Uthappa. Then Dube comes in, as well as Hardik Pandya and Abhinav Manohar Sadrangini. If Sai Sudarshan is not fit, then he may not come in. Of course, I forgot to mention that Sai Sudarshan did not play the previous game. So, I will open with Robin Uthappa and Shubman Gill, have Shivam Dube at number 3, and then Hardik Pandya and Abhinav Manohar Sadrangini. Who will be my keeper? There's only one name, MS Dhoni. What about the bowlers? If I have to look at the bowlers, perhaps I will take Lockie Ferguson. That will be my pick. Perhaps Mahesh Theekshana. And then I will go for Mukesh Chaudhary because he has been one of the stable bowlers in the Chennai Super Kings lineup. And then perhaps, if I have to look at any of the other bowling options, Darshan Nalkande. That is all for the fantasy picks between GT versus CSK. Don't forget to download the Gamezy app. You can stand to win 5 crores every day. You can even make a team in the second innings and also in slots of 5. No other fantasy app does that. Thank you for watching. Press the like, comment and subscribe button for Sports Today.